Welcome back, guys.
Episode number 16 here.
Number 16. It has been a while.
It has.
We were gone for 4 weekends straight. It started with the G1M Ultra.
Yeah.
And then
Bear Ranch, New York.
New York Hyrox.
Yeah. And then First Form Summer Smash event.
Summer Smash at First Form, and then
Hyrox Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 4 weekends in a row. So
got a lot to cover.
wow, do we have a lot to cover. Yeah. We have a lot of life, a lot of events. But really this one's going to be geared more around what we've learned from the events and what has been going on in life. And then hopefully you can take something away from it and feel like you're just sitting here with us talking about it. But
where do we want to start?
I guess we should probably start with a few updates.
Yeah. On life in
general.
Situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess G1M, we already covered that. Drew ran 97 miles at the Going More Ultra race, Backyard Ultra. And then after that, we had Hyrox New York.
Mm-hmm.
Hyrox New York, Billy and I ran a 58-minute.
38 seconds.
38 seconds men's pro double. So we PR'd again in that race. And then we had Summer Smash. And in the midst of that, we checked our junk email and found out that we qualified for Worlds. Accepted.
Wow.
Went to Hyrox Worlds in Chicago. And then we actually ended up getting a 101 at Hyrox Worlds, which we'll recap what all went into the 101 and what we learned from it. But
yeah,
outside of competitions,
yeah,
you want to go?
I'll say, I mean, do you want me to tell a story?
Yeah.
Okay. Like right now in our life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, me and Brandon are both moving on from Stacked. If you didn't already know, we both worked at Stacked Supplements, and we are currently leaving Stacked to pursue other things.
Yeah, sounds. It's honestly really scary even saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Scary in a good way, but it was time. I think that in terms of alignment, there was just a few things that we wanted to start pursuing in our life, and a few things that didn't make sense anymore. But I spent between 3 and 4 years at the company, and you spent almost 2.
Yeah.
And we opened a location together.
Mm-hmm.
Ran some teams, had some really cool events, learned a lot, met a lot of really cool people.
Yeah, I was gonna say on top of that, I mean, just the experience that I got just as I opened Bowling Green at 19 years old. So just the experiences I've got from Stacked alone, and the experience with opening a new retail location in a town where I didn't know anyone.
Yeah,
was a lot of experience that I very proud of.
100%.
Very happy to add.
Before we got on the podcast, we were actually talking. I was talking to Drew about how, and if you're listening, you may be able to relate with this, but sometimes things in life, as shitty as they may feel in the moment, 100% happen for a reason. And whenever things do feel that way, or you feel down about a situation, or maybe you're confused as to why God is allowing is not the right word, why God is working to make things happen in a certain way, you kind of have to reflect and ask yourself, what did you get out of this situation, or what did you learn from the situation? And I was talking to Drew, and from my perspective, the person Drew was whenever he was 18 coming out of high school, he had a lot of things taken care of for him. Like,
I was very reliant
on other people, and going to open his own store in a community where he knew no one. And we've told the story a million times, but having to meet all new friends, having to network in the community with local gyms. And then on top of that, end up meeting his girlfriend, Taylor, who they've been together for 8 months now. And we'll kind of get into where they're going with their relationship here soon. But yeah, you ended up meeting someone who you now love.
Mm-hmm.
You were brought into their family essentially, and now you're really close with her family.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you developed, from my perspective, so much. You became a lot more self-sufficient than you were beforehand. So
just to throw on top of that, I mean, growing up, like, mom and dad did everything for me specifically. So I think it was more or less just creating my own like battles, I guess you could say. Like not in like a bad way, obviously, but creating harder situations for myself to kind of grow from. And a part of that was moving to Bowling Green where I didn't know anyone.
For sure.
And connecting with people and then doing these ultras.
I think it's so like I don't mean to laugh, but it is so funny the way that God works. It's whenever we were building that store out a year ago, I promise you I would have never thought in a year that this is where we would be at. And going a little bit deeper on myself, after I've told the story of leaving my first college that I ever went to in baseball, I told myself I would never quit something prematurely ever again in my entire life, no matter how hard it got. That was a promise I made to myself by myself. And I think because of that, I actually learned another lesson on the flip side of that lesson that I had already learned in my life. And I think that you can also put yourself in a position for too long sometimes as well.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny about life. I learned the lesson from one side and then I learned it from the other as well. Knowing when to quit something and quitting prematurely, it's a delicate balance. And I don't think that quit is even the right word in this scenario. It's what makes sense.
And I think what Patrick said a while back too kind of goes hand in hand with that, of like, you kind of look at Stacked as like its own college in a way.
Yeah.
Like you got a lot of experience and knowledge from the 3 or 4 years that you were at Stacked. And I don't know if you want to say like you outgrew like that person that you were in Stacked, but now you can apply all the information and all the knowledge you got from Stacked specifically to your future.
Thing. Yeah. And that kind of leads into something I do want to talk about here. And that's, we talk about it with endurance all the time in fitness. And that's the entire reason we started this podcast in the first place, was committing inside of the unknown. And this will go into telling a little bit more of the story. We've lived in Southern Illinois essentially our entire life. Mm-hmm. I moved away for college and it was in Decatur, Illinois my first year, and then around the St. Louis area for a year. But other than that, we've always been in this area. And after taking these trips and meeting a lot of the people in the fitness space, in the endurance space, I know it's very, at this point, it's like a stereotype or a cliche for what we're doing, but I know that it makes 100% sense for our lives right now. So Drew more so will probably be there a little bit before me, but the plan is to move to Austin, Texas at this point.
Yeah.
And reason being is because whenever we visited, especially for the G1M Ultra, and the friendships that we've made at this point too, in Texas with a lot of people that do live there, it is legitimately a magical place. And the reason I say magical is because there's a lot of people our same age who are either building companies, creating content, or just honestly betting on themselves in general.
Yeah. And
that environment is very contagious to be around, and being in that environment and training with those people on a weekly basis. Whenever we came back, it was just a feeling of there was a lot that we were leaving on the table. And there were a lot of people out there that were honestly ahead of us in terms of how they were working and how they were training. And it opened up your eyes. It's like whenever you're in sports and let's say you're good in high school at a sport, and then you go to the college level, you see how good people are, then you realize there's another level to that even. Mm-hmm. But if we've learned anything in our lives at this point, if you want to be good at something or you want to be like certain people, then you have to be around them. You have to be in the environment physically. Sure. And it's a scary move. And we don't have a specific day on it yet, but it's we know it's what's best right now. Don't have all the answers, but know it's what's best, and we're just gonna have the courage to go all in and make it happen. So yeah.
You explained that pretty well.
Yeah.
That's where, yeah.
I think for Drew's situation, Taylor's already down there. So for you,
she's in Round Rock right now, which is right outside of Austin. So plan is to move in with Taylor and then I don't know exactly where I'm working yet, but I do want to put myself, and you explained this well too last night, like I want to put myself around the right people, make the right connections, and hopefully just meet a lot of people in the community that I can learn from and gain a lot of knowledge from.
Yeah.
But
taking a job for like the community that you're going to be around, not taking a job for like pay or whatever the compensation looks like. It's more, who can I put myself around for you? I
Absolutely.
think. And then for me, obviously, Briley is, and I've said this like on YouTube and other videos, but I'm extremely proud of Briley. My girlfriend, she just accepted a position at SIU, so she's coaching volleyball now up until December. So that's going to change like my plans a little bit more in terms of when I'm getting down there. But our plan is to head that way eventually as well. But other than that, for me, I'm working on something that I'm extremely passionate about, and it's been really fun so far. And the plan is and has always been to be able to help people in the fitness space. And I want to make running and lifting and training like an athlete more accessible to people who are interested in getting into that, because I think there's a lot of information out there, and I think it's so saturated that it can become extremely overwhelming knowing where to start. Because let's be honest, dude, anyone can go to ChatGPT and ask it to give them a program. But I think that like human connection, and I think the ability to kind of switch things on the fly and adjust is a huge factor. And I think that everyone can benefit so much from incorporating endurance training into their current training. Because I know for me, when I was just lifting, I started to stall out quite a bit and get bored, and it wasn't as entertaining. But a lot of people legitimately don't know where to start. We get so many questions of what watch should I get? How do you start? Every time I run, my shins start hurting, so I just quit. Nutrition. I don't know what to eat. I did my first long run, felt like shit, kind of gave up. So yeah, creating something to combat all of that and genuinely help people out. That's the goal. But that's a little bit more down the line, and I'll let more info out as that time comes around. But
yeah, just want to give a little update on the current life position.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. What the plans look like moving forward from what we know so far.
Committed to the unknown.
Yep. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to New York specifically. New York Hyrox, and I also wanted to give a little bit more background for people that maybe like just start watching or that are following along and haven't heard yet. But when did you start running? Like, when did you stop just lifting like a bodybuilder, powerlifter, and get into like the endurance space?
We started in January of 2024.
Through 24, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So now we are a year and 6 months in, so a year and a half.
Yeah. And then because we started training for a half marathon like 1 or 1.5 months into running or so. And then when did you get into Hyrox after that?
It was that summer, so it would have been a year ago from now.
Okay. So it's only been about a year since you started training Hyrox.
Yeah, actually that's accurate, because I was about 4 months away from Dallas Hyrox in November.
Yeah.
When I started in like July.
And then your first competition was November
of 2024.
Okay.
And I've done doubles the entire time, to also preface that.
With Billy.
Yeah, me and Billy have done doubles every single time. I've said it before on here, but I think it's a completely different sport than just singles. I think doubles is a lot more high output, rest.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different than sustaining a little bit below red line for an entire hour if you're by yourself. By yourself is 100% more difficult, in my opinion. Some people may disagree, but
same weight, same distance.
I do think it's a different. Also, it's cool. Like with doubles, there is a team aspect to it, and I think that's what makes it fun. Like the communication, the pushing each other. But
yeah.
I
wanted to start there because you've only been running for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
You've been training for Hyrox for a year, and you did your first competition less than a year until you qualified for Worlds.
Yeah.
which is wild. Like, in my opinion, like for the people that still don't know like a whole lot about Hyrox, like you have to be good at running.
Well, let's not even, and I'm not trying to change the subject, but I don't even want to just focus on me. Like, let's just backtrack there. We started running a year and a half ago. Sometimes you can convince yourself that you've been doing something longer than.
And it feels like it's been a long time
Well, yeah.
since we started running.
I mean, yes, training in general, I've been training since I was 13 years old. So 12 years of experience,
Yeah.
a 4-year degree in it,
Yeah.
powerlifting, but running itself a year and a half ago. And for you, it's like you ran a 100-mile race, your second race. You had another 100-mile race, you DNF'd, but still. And then you had a last man standing where you did 97 miles in your year, and you've done 3.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that there's people who have done more. I'm not saying it's like you're a phenom in this space. I'm bringing that up for people who are interested in it, because I'm telling you, the first like 3 to 6 months of getting into it is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because running is not easy.
No.
And your heart rate gets really high a lot of the time. You can't fathom how people run for more than 30 minutes and talk the entire time. But there is a point in those first 3 months that you start hitting a stride. It's just a lot of people don't get to that point.
Yeah. And you got to be really focused on like the goal, like what you want out of it. And I think that's why it goes back to like whenever we said, if you're contemplating a race, like just sign up and then figure it out.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, I don't know if I didn't sign up for a 100-mile race, or like you didn't sign up for Hyrox, I don't know like how consistent I would have stayed personally.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If I don't have like a goal in mind, and like how often I would have ran if I didn't. And like, then it just comes down to consistency and just building like day by day.
100%. I think either one, you need an event in front of your face. That way you don't want to embarrass yourself whenever you do go to the event. Or 2, you need some form of accountability, whether that's like someone starting it with you, or if you do hire a coach. I think one of those 2-3 options is how you stick to it.
Yeah.
And then you do have the rare breed who can just do it by themselves, but it's few and far in between.
Yeah, 100%. So then to Hyrox New York. So before Hyrox New York, you had November, your first competition, 106, right? And then your second one was in Miami, and that was 58.
Yeah, Miami was 58, and we ended up getting a 2-minute penalty tacked on to the end of that a little bit after the race, which we ended up finding out about, and we still couldn't figure out what it was for. But nonetheless, yeah, so honestly, not really. It would be like a little bit over an hour.
That's fair. Okay. And then after Miami, New York.
And then New York was 58-38.
Yeah. So obviously I wasn't at New York, and I wish I was, but y'all did 58-38 with no penalty, so PR'd 3 times in a row. Can you like kind of like walk us through like New York a little bit?
Yeah, New York was a really interesting course, dude. And when we competed, it was at nighttime, so you had the skyline behind you, and the sky was pink. The coolest part about that race was coming down the side of the course whenever we were running around the corner. Every time we ran a loop, the sky was just bright pink. And we're in New York City. I'd never been to New York City. And I kept like yelling out to Billy. I'm like, how cool is that? Like, look at God. I kept saying, look at God. We would just laugh. But seriously, I think that's what made the race. And then PRing after that. It's funny because we weren't even very happy with it because we had just done a 58. Obviously, the 2-minute penalty got tacked on top of it, but we had just done a 58 again the month before, so we wanted to go a little bit faster than that. But, dude, endurance takes time to build. Yeah. So, realistically, thinking that you're going to knock off a ton more time in 1 month is not very... it doesn't make a ton of sense. You could, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible, but it wasn't super likely. And we ended up after the race, I was ready. Truthfully, Hyrox New York, I was ready to get out.
I was saying, did you guys even know that like you'd place?
No. Yeah. And this is definitely my personality, and I'll put myself out there on this one because Billy was the one that made me stay. It was late, and I'm used to going to sleep at 9:30, 10:30 usually. Yeah. And it was already around that time, and I think there were a few more heats that we were waiting on to finish, and they looked up our results, and they said, "Hold on, you're in third right now for like your age group. We should wait because you can be on the podium." And I'm sitting there like, we got third place. Like I don't want to wait around on the podium. You know what I mean? I was just like, what's the point? We're second losers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they convinced me to wait around, and it was one of those things like, we're in New York, and if you're gonna be on the podium, don't disrespect that. Like, that's the sport. No matter what you got, like even if you got third, I do think it's important to stand up there, and even if you're not the most elated with the performance, it's like you got third. Like, stand up there and own it. And I think that's the point of the podium. You just own it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we waited around, got on the podium, and we know that when you get on the podium, you have a chance at qualifying for Worlds. It just depends on how many slots are left. But we never thought anything of it. And this was about a week later after the race. I see people posting that they qualified for Worlds. So I called Billy right after I checked my junk mail and saw the email. And I was on FaceTime with him, and I was trying to share my screen. You know, you can like share your screen. And it wasn't working. And he knew something was off because I called him super late, and I never do that. And he's like, "What are you trying to show me?" I'm like, "It won't load." And we're like yelling back and forth. And then I show it to him, and he's just like, "No way." He just sat there.
Yeah.
And then we talked for half an hour after that, and he couldn't go to sleep. His first response was actually thinking that maybe we should defer till the next year because you have that option. But for me, Worlds was in Chicago. That's a lot easier to travel to, and the experience and being around the people in the community, it just made more sense.
Yeah.
And it's also the other side of having the belief in yourself that you can do it again.
Yeah.
So that's why we confirmed it. So yeah,
that's wild. I mean, you think like that late in the season, because New York is the very last race before Worlds, right?
Yes.
So they only have a limited amount of slots, and wouldn't they give them to everybody else that got third place before you guys got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're thinking like, there's no way we get a spot in Worlds because like it's the last one of the season,
For
and
sure.
like everybody else has gotten third like way beforehand.
Yeah.
So yeah, super cool. I remember when you called me about that. It was sick. But then you decided to obviously compete in the Chicago in Worlds. And a week beforehand, you can kind of run them through what happened at Summer Smash. At First Form.
So we were at Summer Smash, and if you don't know what Summer Smash is, First Form puts on, honestly, an unbelievable event.
Oh, it's so fun.
Every year that we go to this thing, I'm telling, if you're listening to this and you don't know what First Form is, which is very unlikely, probably do know what First Form is. But if you happen to not, look up Summer Smash and kind of see what it is. But essentially, Summer Smash hosts, I don't remember how many tickets they gave out. I want to say it was 4,000 to 5,000 tickets.
I think it was 4 to 5 because I think they said they almost doubled it from last year.
They sell out every year in legit like negative 7.5 seconds. It is, realistically, it is under a minute. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was like 57, 58.
Yeah. But they hosted like all of their retailers as well, so we were able to go out there, and they just do such a good job. If you want to see what it looks like to build, I'm not even going to state it like that. If you want to see what culture is and what it looks like, that is Summer Smash. And the coolest part about it for me, was right before Summer Smash started and Andy came out to give his speech, right after Sal gave his, which was really good as well. But they played a video of Andy, I want to say it was 10 years ago, pulling up to the first Summer Smash ever.
Summer Smash, yeah.
And he was just like, me and some of the buddies at First Form are putting together a barbecue. And we saw that people in the town were hosting others that were coming in for the festival. And we think it's really cool. We love what we're building. And then you watch him give the speech in front of 5,000 people when they probably could sell 20,000 plus tickets if they wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. And just how big the brand is. And not to mention, after the festival was over, there wasn't one single piece of trash. That just tells you what type of culture they build there. Sorry, I went on a whole tangent about it, but
It's cool.
we were at Summer Smash, and we were hanging out with our buddy Mason quite a bit, training with him every day. Mason works at First Form. So Sunday, Mason asks us to go on a trail run, and he tells me, he did preface it that I would probably need trail shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big trail runner, but I was like, nah, I'll be fine. Like, it is what it is. I don't have trail shoes with me, so I'll just rock it. And it was only an hour long. Rolled my ankle right in the beginning of the trail run. Thought I would be fine. It was a little bit unstable, but I could still run, so I kept running. And then about 10 minutes from finishing the run, it was just weak and stepped on a rock and rolled it really hard the second time. So like, quite literally the outside of my leg touched the ground, and I felt it pop, and I knew. So they finished the run, and I just walked back. Next day, my foot was quite literally just swollen. So this time though, I've been injured before, so I didn't want to take the mindset of, oh, poor me. So I immediately took action. I went and got dry needled every day. I worked with Dr. Pedigo and Marion, great guy. He lended me the Normatec boots, and I was doing my therapy every day, the strengthening exercises, doing everything I can, biking to get the swelling down.
Yeah.
And ended up racing anyway.
I think it's kind of like a part of the like lessons you learn like the past few years.
Yeah.
And like you learn like whenever things like that happen, you kind of just roll with it and like you just figure it out.
Yeah.
And because I'm not gonna lie, in that moment, like just me personally, like I heard you behind me roll your ankle, and I turn around and you're like, bro.
I knew it was,
and like
I knew it was bad.
I'm low-key kind of freaking out because I'm like, bro, he has Worlds in a week.
Yeah.
Like you roll your ankle like a week out. Like how fast is that gonna heal?
Yeah.
And then you just get right to it, like the recovery.
Yeah.
And it felt pretty fun.
Yeah, it was
Chicago.
fine. My outlook was if I can just run straight the majority of the time, push straight, pull straight, then I was going to be fine. And that was the case. Like it still hurt, but I could run straight. And to be honest, so much happened around that I ended up like, that ended up being the least of my worries.
Yeah. But still a great race nonetheless.
Yeah.
Like you're on the world stage with like the most elite people in Hyrox.
Yeah.
And got to talk to a few different people that are like higher up in Hyrox.
And that was the coolest part.
Yeah. Like just the connections that you get from it. And I think making that decision to go to Worlds this year was super important.
You gotta, if we want to lock in on a lesson learned here from this point, this one hits a little bit harder. I'm at a point in my life where I genuinely and completely realize that the biggest piece of currency that you can have in your life is, if this is even how you say it, is how you treat other people or how you make other people feel. I'm going to lean more into how you make other people feel. I think that in whatever you do, whether it is Hyrox, it's ultra marathons, maybe you deliver packages, maybe you're a musician, whatever you do, however you make people feel on a day-to-day basis is the biggest currency that you will have in life. So for me, if mine is Hyrox and we got a one-on-one and I'm disappointed about it because obviously it's not the time I wanted with how hard we both trained, I had to distance myself and realize, wow, I have a brother who just drove at 2 a.m. at night to Chicago, Illinois, 6.5-hour drive from Kentucky to watch me compete after closing the store down all day, knowing that we are transitioning out of the company, but he still has responsibilities there and he's going to make the time and take care of things. And you did, and you held it down. And then on my end, or not on my end, on Briley's end, Briley just accepted a new position as coach, but she's still there supporting, having to go right back to work on Monday. Our childhood best friend came. He's there supporting. We had Mason there supporting while we were racing. And then Jake and Gracie. Jake came all the way to the race just to film. And they stayed the night there one night. And that is what made me realize that's why we do things like this. we do things like this to show other people what's possible and to show other people what stepping out of your comfort zone does. And then you also never waste a moment or an opportunity to let those people know how much you care about them and appreciate them, because at the end of the day, that's what people will remember you by.
It's the greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Having people there to support you.
Yeah.
Like, that's bigger than anything else.
It is.
It's bigger than money. It's bigger than
everything.
Yeah.
At that moment, I knew that I will say those 4 weeks changed how I looked at everything. I knew if I had that, I'll always be okay.
Yeah.
And everything else will take care of itself.
It will. But, yeah. Hyrox Worlds.
Hyrox Worlds, man. Now the goal is to get to Sweden in 2026, and we're documenting it all on YouTube. So.
Yeah. So then kind of like, I guess moving forward, like you just mentioned Sweden, but like, what are your goals, like training wise? Like, what's that look like now after Hyrox Worlds?
Yeah, my plan. The next competitions start in September, so I have like a 3 to 4 month window to get as fast as possible. I don't want to say drawback, but the biggest thing that I need to work on is running.
Mm-hmm.
So my plan is to strength train a little bit less, but be more intentional with it. So full body sessions, compound focused, and then put a really large block in for running. So I'm actually going to get my miles up a little bit more. And I'm going to probably throw in a half marathon in there,
mm-hmm.
just because I know it'll translate to building my base and becoming a better Hyrox athlete. And then closer to competition for Hyrox, I'll start throwing back in Hyrox sessions again. But right now I want to get fast.
That's the main goal.
Fast.
Yeah. And then you're doing solos and doubles?
Yes.
Next time? Right.
Yep.
Okay.
But we're prioritizing doubles first. So whatever Billy wants to do, we'll do that competition. And then after that, whatever he's not, then I'll figure out what I'm doing. So
are you, this is just a question that I have. Are you like planning on, now that like Hyrox, I mean, that's like a big goal, like get to Sweden. Are you planning on playing out the Hyrox season kind of like all the pros do it? Like they do like a ton of competitions?
Yeah, ideally, yes. But right now, with what I mentioned earlier in the podcast, with what I'm building, that's going to take up a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to take priority, because obviously, like, I want to be able to, I love training and I love fitness and I love endurance, and I am all in on Hyrox. But for me, I also think providing the world something is more important. Like I just said, how you make other people feel. So outside of documenting my journey, I want to actually help others get into it. So that's going to take priority. So we'll see. I'm going to do as many as I can.
Okay. Is your goal to qualify for Sweden like first round?
Yeah.
Or, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Do you guys have a time goal set out?
I would say if we don't get 55, it would be disappointing. So 55 minutes. So shave off 3.
Let's go.
Yeah. And then for you, aren't you planning on doing a 200-mile race?
2026.
Next year?
Yeah. I got to figure out what that looks like right now. Either Bear Ranch or maybe Moab 240.
Do you have to qualify for that one?
Moab?
Uh-huh.
No, it's kind of like Cocodona. Like right whenever the race ends, it opens up like a week later.
Uh-huh.
And you just put in for it, and if you're fast enough, you get in. If you're not fast enough, you get waitlisted.
Gotcha.
And usually, like, multiple people off the wait list get in. Just a big investment.
Gotcha.
Moab 240s, those big races are pretty expensive. But
yeah, I do think it's more beneficial, though, and this is a cool topic. Like, while I do think it's fun to constantly compete in things, especially if you're someone that's trying to grow an online presence, it does make sense to an extent, because you're always having something to post about or document.
Mm-hmm.
I almost want to say it's more beneficial, though, to train for one big event. Also, because you just put more into it. And I think the lessons become, you feel them a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Do I think there's anything wrong with competing more often? No. Like, you're going to get better the more you compete. For sure. But if you have a profession or a job or something you're working towards outside of like endurance and content, then it probably makes sense to do a couple less.
Can't do races all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the plan moving forward, is a 200 plus mile race in 2026. And I will say, just on the topic of like helping other people, you'll be helping me,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
With a little bit of like training and nutrition,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So I'm going to train Drew into his next race.
Yeah.
Right now with the move to Austin, you may have to switch up a little bit with which races you do, just because you will be further away from the ones you were going to do initially.
Yeah.
But once we nail what race you're doing for sure, I'm going to train him on nutrition.
Yeah.
And the race as well. But he's already, when it comes to the running side, you're already super knowledgeable on it. So I think that I'll just be a little bit of help in terms of offering more guidance whenever you're maybe overtraining.
Yeah.
Or a little bit of a nuance to your training, like what can make you a little bit more effective. But I think nutrition will play a huge role in helping you out.
And I think, like, obviously anyone can like do it by themselves.
Yeah.
But I think it makes a huge difference whenever you kind of take the thinking out of it yourself.
Yeah.
And you have like outside perspective.
Yes.
Especially on like nutrition and then like lifting
100.
specifically, because
100%.
one of my downfalls, like I do feel like I am pretty confident in my running.
Yeah.
Like I can go out and put in like as many miles as I need to in a week, but if I want to be good at running or even 200 plus miles, like I'm going to have to build on top of just being able to go out and run a certain amount of miles. Like I got to build strength in my legs. Like my nutrition has to be perfect. Like everything has to be dialed down.
Of course.
To a T.
And that's where I'm going to be to help out. And I think that a lot of times too, for a coach, I think that it's more about hiring the person and not the program. I don't even think every coach makes sense for everybody. I think you could be a great coach, but not really mesh well with some athletes if they're not ready to be coached in a way.
Yeah.
Because like same thing for me. That's why I'm like asking Simon for help, and Simon's helping me out just because he has so much wisdom, and I do. Whenever he talks, I receive it differently. I understand it, and the way that he frames things just makes sense in my brain. And I think that that's like a connection that's hard to come across. But
absolutely.
Is there anything else that you had?
No, not really.
I think that we did a great job of wrapping up what we got going on, current lessons.
Trying to give as much backstory as possible.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, you can hit us up in the DMs, and we're always there to answer. But
that'd be a wrap on episode 16.
That's number 16. Thank you guys for stopping by. And you know that we always started this thing because we wanted to give people a place to relate if they are into endurance and they are trying to advance their career professionally. We wanted to give people an opportunity to relate to two young guys. If you are in the same position, maybe in your 20s, maybe in your 30s, and you're working towards something, we want to give a platform where you can kind of relate with other people who are trying to do the same thing, haven't made it yet, but are just sharing every lesson along the way. And that's what we've done since we started. So we're going to keep doing it.
It's been freaking fun. So
all right.
Keep it rocking.
That's 16.